Five.
Five of the British Empire's worst atrocities under Queen Elizabeth's reign. And now, I did look into this website, Liberation, newspaper of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I looked into this website. It's not unreliable. I looked up. Apparently, they haven't failed a fact check in 5 years.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but they are regarded to be extremely partisan.
Yeah.
And so, even though it's the information they're publishing probably is not incorrect, they're going to be, if they don't like the Queen, they're going to be really fucking transparent with that. Yeah. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So just skip the context. Malayan Emergency, 1948 to 1960. So, yeah, she did come to power during this.
Oh.
The Malayan Emergency was a guerrilla war between British Armed Forces and the Malayan National Liberation Army. The military wing of the Malayan Communist Party, which began 4 years before Queen Elizabeth's reign and continued 8 years after she ascended to the throne, the MNLA sought independence from the British colonial government and began waging guerrilla attacks on rubber plantations, police stations, and transportation and infrastructure networks. On June 18th, 1948, in response to these attacks, British authorities declared a state of emergency, triggering a 12-year-long war and scorched earth territory campaign in which the British military set fire to homes and farmland belonging to those suspected of having ties to the MNLA, relocated an estimated 400,000 to 1 million people into concentration camps called New Villages, and sprayed crops with Agent Orange to starve insurgents.
Oh, wow.
The emergency was declared over in 1960, and by the time an estimated 6,700 guerrilla fighters and over 3,000 civilians had lost their lives. Military strategists and policymakers still study the Malayan emergency today as one of the few successful counterinsurgency campaigns undertaken by the West.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Elizabeth is the only person in her country that could declare war.
Yes.
The repression of the Mau Mau Rebellion, 1952 to 1960. 1952, after decades of economic marginalization, dispossession and violence at the hands of the British regime, a group of Kenyan militants known as the Mau Mau Rebels launched a counter-colonial uprising against the white settlers and African loyalists in their country. The uprising was a response to decades of British colonizers seizing more and more land from the Kenyan inhabitants to give to white settlers, forcing the locals into low-wage labor on the settlers' farms. Nationalist organizations such as the Kenyan African Union often appealed to British authorities to land reform and equal political rights to no avail. By October of that year, the British moved military reinforcement into Kenya to put down this uprising. They launched a brutal counterinsurgency campaign and threw over 100,000 Kikuyu, Meru, and Embu Kenyans into detention camps where they were subject to interrogation, torture, beatings, and sexual abuse.
Fuck.
By 1960, according to the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, the British had killed, maimed, or tortured 90,000 Kenyans and detained 160,000 in camps. Though Mau Mau were defeated, the rebellion played a key role in achieving Kenyan independence in 1963.
Oh wow, that's pretty...
Today, the Talai King Sigis tribes in Kenya are seeking $200 billion in reparations from the British government and restitution of land theft from colonial crimes. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yes.
The covert war in Yemen, 1962 to 1969. Can you read this? I need a...
Yeah, I know.
My voice needs to rest.
Yes. The current war in Yemen in 1962. In 1962, after the death of Yemen, King's Arab Army nationalists, with popular support from the people and backed by Nasser, Egyptian army seized power and declared a republic. Wallace, meanwhile, launched a counterattack to take back power with support from Saudi Arabian Arab. I know what's the word. I can't pronounce it.
Which one pointed to me?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia as well. Jordan and Britain. Though Britain publicly maintained a policy of no invasion in Yemen, it was in effect circularly supplying fighter jets to carry out airstrike on the country, as well as millions of pounds of weapons to Royalist Forces Airwork Service. A private British defence company even signed a $26 million contract to provide personnel to train Saudi pilots. It is worth noting that British officials acknowledged the Royalists they backed had little chance of winning. The strategy was as strategy as the then Prime Minister Howard Macmillan's told US President Macmillan told US President John Kennedy was to ensure that the new Yemen regime were occupied with their own internal affairs during the next few years, and that the end goal was a weak government in Yemen not able to make trouble. As predicted, the Royalists lost the war to Republicans in 1969, and by the time an estimated 20,000 people has been killed.
How many is more after this?
I'll do some more.
Okay, I guess if you want to read this one as well, you may.
Yes. Propaganda offense in Indonesia. In 1965, British spies has launched a sophisticated propaganda campaign inciting violence against the Indonesia Communist Party, then the third largest communist party in the world. From Singapore, the British propagandists created newsletters purportedly written by Indonesia diaspora, encouraging those within the country, including army generals, to cut out and the communist cancer and eliminate
okay, if you can't read it, just leave it to me.
eliminate
Yeah.
the PKI,
That's the Indonesia Communist Party,
yes, the PIK. They said it is a wounded snake, and now it is time to kill it before it has chance to recover. The offensive was included a radio station by Malaysians broadcasting
anti-communist
propaganda into Indonesia. This campaign was launched by British to undermine PKI supported Indonesia President Sukarno, who opposed the administration plans to combine of its former colonies into Malaysia Federation, a plan he saw as the empire trying to preserve its colonial control in this region. On October the 1st, an attempted coup within the army carried out by the left-wing forces, believing that some within the ranks were planning to coup against Sukarno was the catalyst.
Okay, if you can read it, just let me read it and you skip it.
Catalyst for the General
Suharto,
to seize power, crush the rebellion, and massacre all his suspected of having ties to the PRK. During this period, the British spies sent out special issue newsletter likening to the PRK and Hitler.
Likening the PKI to PKI to Hitler.
To urge those to continue their violent campaigns, even stating the communism must be abolished in its all forms. The work started by the army must carried on and
intensified.
The violence finally ended in March 1966 when
Sukarno
abdicated power to the General Suharto. So, by the time and estimated 500,000 to 1 million people that has been killed, making it one of the worst massacres of the 20th century. I'm so sorry, guys.
That's okay, I'll read the last one. Bloody Sunday. It's January 30th, 1972. On January 30th, 1972, during a march in Derry, Northern Ireland, British military opened fire on a crowd of protesters, shooting 26, 14 of whom died from their injuries. I think that should be who.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Maybe whom is right. During the fray, 108 rounds of ammunition were discharged by 21 soldiers firing their weapons. The Northern Ireland Civil Rights Association had organised the march in response to legislation passed by the British government in August of 1971, which allowed authorities to imprison suspected Irish nationalists without trial. Catholic communities in Northern Ireland were already subject to discrimination by the majority Protestant government. Bloody Sunday is one of the key events during the Troubles, a 30-year national liberation struggle waged by the Irish Republican Army during the British Parliamentaries and the British Army for Independence. To end this, I'll end this right here. Not a figure to be admired, not a figure to be mourned. From the 1950s to 1970s, during the height of decolonization, British authorities launched Operation Legacy, a campaign to destroy all government records in the colonial administrations prior to their country's transition to independence. Administrators urged these records to be burnt or thrown into the sea in order to erase any evidence that could potentially embarrass Her Majesty's government or embarrass members of the police, military forces, public servants, or others, e.g. police informers, or that might be used unethically by ministers in the successor government. Because of these operations and its destroyed evidence, we might not even know the full scale of the British Empire's genocidal campaigns. What we do know of, however, should be a reminder that Queen Elizabeth is not a figure to be mourned, but a symbol of an empire responsible for some of the worst atrocities in history, who reaped massive amounts of wealth stolen from its colonies. Yeah, it paints old Lizzie in a very doesn't paint her in a very good light.